Hello and welcome back to the Gubba Homestead. I'm Gubba and today I'm going to be teaching you how to build a food storage. I absolutely think everybody should have one. You can start building yours today. It is so important. My reasons for having a food storage are for self-sufficiency, having food security, being able to help family and friends, helps fight inflation. As we are seeing all these problems in the world go on right now, we had those rolling shortages of food after the crisis of 2020, and who knows, like, things are so unstable. And then we were told that grains were going to be in a shortage because of everything going on over in Eastern Europe, and there's just so much unsurety with food. And yes, you can stock up on paper towels, ammo, you can stock up on literally everything, but you can't eat other stuff. You gotta eat your food storage. You're not gonna be out there eating bullets. You're gonna be needing food. And so our friends, family, your neighbors, community, so keep that in mind. And that is why I think having a food storage is so important. Behind me is a glimpse at part of my food storage. I do my food storage in 3 layers. We have a top layer, a middle layer, and then my long-term layer. So I would consider this a mix of my top layer and middle layer. Your top layer is going to be what you use every day. So for example, I have canned beans, I have these morel mushrooms, canned tomatoes. I'm using these almost every day, especially since it's winter and I'm making chilies. So these are my top layer. I also have pastas in my kitchen that are in my top layer. And when I go to the store and I notice that I am running short, I will buy more to replace what I use. And then I slowly buy more to build up a long-term storage. A general rule for cans is there is an expiration date, like this one is December 28th of 2025. So that's 3 years in the future, but there is a rule of thumb that canned goods can actually go 3 years past their expiration date, 2 to 3 years, and obviously you would just open it, smell it, make sure that it smells okay, it doesn't look funky. These can be part of your top layer, also like a long-term layer. And my middle layer is what I replenish my top layer with. So when I start running out on my canned goods, because I'm a little further along in my food storage, I don't have to run to the store. I have other canned goods to just replenish my top layer. And then I'll replenish my middle layer, and so it just starts flowing. My purpose for having a food storage may look different than yours. A big reason that I like to have a food storage is I do not like going to the grocery store. I live more rural, so the trips that I have to go and would have to make, the gas money that I would be taking, especially with like the crazy prices of gas that we saw this year, having to be, you know, go around, be around people. If anybody remembers back in 2020, the absolute pure chaos of the grocery store, not a big thing. And then having to go somewhere like in 2020 and it was like a 1984 sort of policing experience. I would rather just have my own grocery store at my house. I would rather grow my own garden and try to be as self-sufficient as possible so I don't have to deal with things that I don't want to deal with. I would suggest to not feel overwhelmed when you start building your food storage. It's not going to look like this overnight, but what you can do is when you go to the store, whatever you buy, get like an extra can or two, an extra bag or two. Just start that way to slowly build up your food storage, and you can adjust accordingly to the space that you have. You can also get crafty with your space. Before I had a lovely pantry like this, I was using plastic totes to store food. I was using rectangular, smaller totes to store food under my bed and in closets. So you can just get crafty with the area that you have. I also went through my house and like just completely gutted it of stuff I didn't need. I found that my food storage was more important than having random stuff around, so I made room that way. One of my favorite quotes that pertains to food storage is to eat what you store and store what you eat. So this would have absolutely no purpose if I didn't utilize it and I was just saving it for some future date. You want to eat what you store. So that's why I use my beans, my tomatoes, my eggs, my salsas, literally everything in here I'm eating, but I also have extra of, so that when I run out, I don't have to go to the store and I can plan accordingly. The next part of that quote is to store what you eat. I learned this lesson when I first started food storage. I like stocked up on frozen spinach. I think it was one of the only things like at the store that was left in the freezer. So I'm like, oh, it's an emergency situation, the 2020 thing. I better get some frozen spinach. I don't eat frozen spinach, and you know, if it was an emergency situation, like maybe, but store what you eat. All this stuff I eat, I would be happy to share. I can make things. Keep that in mind and don't go bulk buy frozen spinach if you're not gonna eat it. When you start to build your food storage, keep in mind how many people you're building for, who you're building for, so do they have any special dietary restrictions, and keep in mind animals. Animals are a part of our families, right? So we need to also have a storage in mind for them, so their food and water. How many people is going to make a difference for how much you are storing to make sure everybody can be fed in an emergency situation. And then their dietary restrictions, like if somebody has to be dairy-free, gluten-free, whatever else, keep that in mind because you want them to also be able to eat the things that they like in an emergency situation. And then animals, there's also canned goods that you can get for animals that last for a long time. I also buy bulk of the foods that they eat, so I don't have to run to the store to get what they need right when they run out. I always have extra on hand. Canned dog foods are a great way to store up for your dogs. There's also canned cat foods. I would 100% recommend canned goods for your animals for long-term storage. I believe you can also do different things with kibble. You could vacuum seal kibble in bags and then put those into like an emergency tub for your animals. There's different things that you can do, but everybody's a part of our family, so keep that in mind. I am now down in my root cellar, which stores a lot of my long-term storage goods. So long-term storage, which is our third layer, is going to have foods that have a 10 to 30 year shelf life. In order to do this, you have to avoid moisture and water. Those things will ruin your food storage. Light and high or extreme temperatures. Those are the things that are going to degrade your food and make it so they're not suitable for long-term storage. Behind me, I have a plethora and variety of number 10 cans that I got from the Bishop Storehouse, which is a place that you can get long-term food storage. It's from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You do not have to be a member to go shop there, and I love them because they have great prices because they want it to be affordable to everybody. But number 10 cans are a great way to have long-term food storage. Canning your own food is a great way to have shelf-stable meals and long-term food storage, and also freeze-dried goods. So if you have a freeze dryer, you are able to make your own long-term food storage. You can make meals, you can put whole meals into your freeze dryer, freeze dry them. You can put a variety of things, like I just did a batch of corn this morning, so I have sweet corn that is going to last me 30 years because it has no moisture in it. You can also buy like pre-made freeze-dried meals. I have a few of these in my food storage as well. They are ReadyWise containers and they have a variety of meals in them, from like oatmeal, macaroni, and they have even drinks in them, which I find cool. So those are a great way to get started on your long-term food storage if you don't have a Bishop Storehouse near you, or a way to store a ton of number 10 cans, because number 10 cans are bulky. But a freeze-dried meal from ReadyWise, or one that you make, is not as bulky. So these are what the meals look like. They're really cool. I keep these in my emergency car bucket, my bug out bags. You can go camping with these. You can do a lot with these. And these last up to 25 years. You can find these at Costco. That's where I got my buckets, or you can find them online. Super easy to order. Would recommend getting started for your long-term food storage. Canning is an amazing method to add food to your long-term storage or your first layer or whatever. It's just a great way to get food on the shelf, to use up a surplus of produce, and to use up kitchen scraps, and then to make shelf-stable, shelf-ready meals. This is a beef stew that I recently canned up. In an emergency situation, I would be able to eat that stew, cook it up on one of my gas stoves that I have, like a camping stove if I didn't have any power, or over the fire, and some cast iron. So keep these things in mind as you're building your food storage. This right here is bone broth. I use carcasses from chickens or just bones that I get, and then kitchen scraps from like onions, carrots, parsnips, any vegetable, and I make broth and can it up. And then this was a surplus of produce from the farm that I got, carrots, so I just can them up. I have carrots and broth to make soups and other recipes. An amazing, amazing way to add food to your food storage is through canning, and I would recommend everybody get a canner and learn how to do it. It is a great self-sufficient skill to have, to be able to put food on your shelf that you don't have to worry about really going bad. You just have to follow the directions that you're canning safely, and then you get to fill up your shelves with quality food. Another great method for long-term food storage is to use Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, and that is what I do with my freeze-dried goods. I also have goods back here that are in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers in 5-gallon buckets. These are my wheat berries, a great way to have shelf-stable foods for a long time because the Mylar working with the oxygen absorbers gets rid of all the oxygen. I hope that all of these tips help you in your journey of being self-sufficient, building a food storage. You can do it. You don't need the space to do it. Like I said, when I started out, I did not have this space. I'm so happy to have a farmhouse that back in the day, they built a root cellar because they realized having food storage is important. They didn't depend on a grocery store, and you don't have to either. So don't do anything a Gubba wouldn't do. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Thank you for spending some time with me, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!